Hello YouTube, and welcome to the third episode of Xisuma's World. In this episode I'd like to start off by addressing some of the comments in my previous video. First of all, the world is fully legitimate, there's no mods, and the only thing I do is occasionally I switch to peaceful, and that's when I'm dealing with the blue spider farm or say a mob spawn or something like that. And my reasoning behind that is I'd probably, I'd put all my valuables in a chest and then I'd just spend ages with a stone sword and torches trying to disable these things. So for me it just saves time. Second of all, people have commented about the despawning of the saplings, and I personally felt like it didn't take longer than 5 minutes to cut down all the trees, but it would have been very close. So perhaps that's a test I'll do again, and I'll keep a timer with me so I can make sure that we get every single sapling and none of them have despawned. And the third thing I'd like to mention is that the seed and the coordinates of where I'm located at are now in the description box on the Xisuma's World videos for those of you that wanted to know. Okay, so we're back at the spider farm again, and I get this feeling like I'm going to keep coming back here because every time we fix something, something goes wrong. So if you remember in the last episode we added the water source blocks at the bottom there to prevent fall damage. Well, I actually, leveled up and used the spawner for quite a while, and then when I reloaded my world and came back here it no longer worked and the spiders were drowning down the bottom here. So I've put it back to normal how it was before now, and it's pretty baffling because it worked for a while and now it doesn't. So I'm going to come back here at some point and keep working on this. Yeah, but as you can see I'm level 40 now, so I've been leveling up, and what we're going to do next is go to the little enchantment room I have and we're going to enchant a pick. Okay, so we're here at the enchanting table, and the reason I want to enchant a pick is because I'm hoping to get silk touch, which means I can get some ice. I'm also hoping maybe I get fortune if I don't get that, but let's see what happens. Okay, so let's have a look. Efficiency and unbreaking. Not what I wanted, but oh well, maybe next time. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, it's time to move on to what I'm going to be doing in this episode, which is building a chicken farm. Now, so far I've been using melons as my main supply of food, and I decided that we need a new food resource. So you can see the tree farm over there, and this is where my treehouse will be. So on this little hill here, I'm thinking is where I'm going to build my chicken farm. And one of the reasons I want to put it here is to spread out different parts of my base around these hills. As I mentioned in my first video, transport was something I wanted to challenge myself with, so by building this over here it means eventually I'll have to connect it up to the main treehouse with some form of transport, either boats or minecarts. So if you've actually seen some of the other videos on my channel, you may have seen the chicken farm that I've done with Cake is Alive, and that had been broken since the full game came out because the eggs now hatch into baby chickens rather than adult chickens. So that means I'm going to have to change the design and figure out how to get it to work like that. So one of the things I'm thinking is I'm going to use a lot of glass, and I need glass to finish the roof on the treehouse. So it's time to head out to the desert biome over in that direction. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so we're here, And there's an NPC village just over there in the distance, which is great to have near the base, but at the moment obviously there's not much to do in them. So now I'm just going to start work on turning this place into a quarry. That was an Enderman. Where did he go? Never mind, but yeah, I'm going to start turning this place into a quarry. And yeah, I'll get back to you when I've made some progress. So as you can see, the quarry is coming along nicely, and I just wanted to show you a trick that most of you have probably already seen because it's E03's idea, but for those of you that haven't, you place down torches like this underneath the sandstone layer, and then when you break them, the torches will break up the sand for you. As you can see, it works quite nicely. And my favourite bit is you get a water bucket and it breaks all the torches for you and puts all the blocks together like that. So that's a good little tip for you there, courtesy of E03. And the other thing is I created this little hut here, or whatever you want to call it. It's just got a bed and a chest in it, and I realised that although it's it's there to serve a purpose, it'd be actually quite nice to have some sort of like elaborate entrance to this quarry here. So that might be something I'll do this episode or maybe next episode. And yeah, that's it for now. Okay, so here you can see I've collected tons and tons of sand, which is what I came here to do obviously. And it gave me this idea that as I'm clearing out this big area of land, I can use it for something. And I was thinking in the future at some point I'll be creating my animal breeding machine, and it gave me this idea of using glass to create a roof that's under the water, so I could spread the water over a glass roof, and then we'd have a sort of underwater area for animal breeding, which I think would be really nice. But yeah, get back to me in the comments, let me know if you like that idea, and that's something I could come back to in the future perhaps and build that. So yeah, now I've got to head back to the base area and start work on the chicken farm. Okay, so I've started work on the chicken farm, and what we have here is a water stream under here, and it will collect all of the eggs from above. The pressure plates are there to stop the water. This layer of dirt represents where I'm going to put fence gates, and they'll be placed open so there'll be water above, and this is so that the eggs can drop through. Now the problem I'm having is I need to send the chickens that are going to be in the little area above to a different place than this water stream here, and the area above is going to be the same size as the one below. So what I'm thinking of doing is creating some pistons in these 3 blocks that push upwards, and then this block here will be pulled down by a piston, and this water stream will then flow this way. So above it, if I can manipulate the water that will go on top of the fence gates up here, we can send all the chickens down to this block here, and with those pistons pushing up and this one pulling down, we'll be able to send them back out this way, and then they can be processed. And this will work because even though there's a water source block here, there's one either side of it, and that means when the piston pulls down, the water source block will regenerate and it won't break the design. So I'm going to build that and test and see if it works. Okay, so I've dug out this area here to give me some space to place down my redstone. Here we have the small circuit that powers these 3 pistons, and on the other side we have an inverter. So at the moment it's not powering this piston, but when these ones aren't powered, this one will be, which is just what we want. So if I hit the lever, now this would be the normal state where we collect eggs, so we'd have our row of water source blocks here, and they'd all flow down to the end there to collect all the eggs. Then when we hit the switch, we've changed the water flow so it can't flow out this way, and the chickens will come down from above into this block here which will flow out this way for processing. So this lever obviously won't be the way I control it, it will be hooked up to the rest of the circuit later on, and now I'm going to make the part above this. Okay, so right now I've just built the area above, and at the moment it's in the state where the chickens will be around here and laying eggs, which will be hatched below. And I'm just going to hop down here and change it. And now we have the one hole there, which is where the chickens will be sent when we want to cook them. This is actually in the wrong... There we go, like that. So they'd fall down that hole into the gap here and come out the back. So I just noticed that there was something wrong with this design actually. When the chickens fall down this gap here, they're probably going to fly off in different directions as they normally do. So I'm going to actually have to replace the fence gates above these 3 blocks with regular blocks. But I realised this will be okay because any eggs that get laid and land on those blocks, the water stream will then move them across to, you know, the centre here, and they'll fall down anyway, so that's okay. One more thing, this is just temporary, this circuit here. I'm going to have to compact it. I'll probably end up putting torches underneath or just on that block there, and then they'll power the block above, controlling the piston. Right, so I've finished the redstone circuit for now. The current state it is in is for when the chickens come down this bit here, and these wooden planks are where the water flow would be. So let's jump up here and have a look. There we go, and when I flick the switch, everything will swap back into the other state. And as you can see, those blocks there have lowered as well. So now I'm going to start removing the dirt and start making it look half decent. So I've gone for a theme of glass and stone bricks here. I like the way it's looking. I've made some changes. Floor underneath here now is all wood, and I put in some fence gates here and removed the blocks above as well. And it's different, but it still works the exact same way. All the redstone is nicely hidden underground now, and I'm going to have to put the netherrack with fire back here to cook the chickens. And what I'm going to be doing next though is up top I'm going to be adding the dispenser. Now last time when I done this, I made a pulse generator using a piston and some redstone, and I've since found out how to make a redstone clock, so I'll be using that and I'll explain it to all of you who haven't seen a redstone clock before. So yeah, that'll be my next task. And also I was talking earlier in the video about making a dome roof up here or something like that, and this is a lot bigger than I thought it would be, so I'm starting to think against that now. It would be pretty resource intensive and take a lot of time, and it might not even look good, so I'll probably do something different for a roof around here. But as I said, next I'm going to go up there and build the dispenser. Okay, so that clicking noise that you can hear is the dispenser firing, and there's nothing in it at the moment, so I'll just put in some dirt. There you go, you can see it works. Now this clock here is what's powering the dispenser, and I'm just going to explain how this works for those of you that don't know. Oh, one more other thing to add is that it's log in log out proof, because whenever you log back in, the torch will turn to the on state. So when the torch is in the on state, it powers the repeater, which holds the signal because of the delay, and the signal powers this block here, which inverts the torch. So the torch is giving power to the repeater, and then that's powering this circuit on for a short while, and as soon as the repeater powers down, it's no longer inverting the torch, so it creates this nice cycle. Okay, so I've done two things. First of all, I have added a on-off switch to the clock, and that's because the the ticking sound got quite irritating. But obviously it's all the way up the top there, so I think I'm going to have to move it and make that more accessible. The second thing I've done is add trapdoors. Now, the way the circuit is at the moment, we've got it in the mode where the chickens are coming down here to be burnt on this block here, which will be netherrack. And the trapdoors are open at the moment. So when the chickens get burnt, they'll land on the trapdoors, which will catch their drops, the cooked food and feathers. So then when we change the state of the circuit, you see the water stream goes away because it's all part of the same circuit, and then the doors flip up, meaning the drops will fall down. And all I've done is add a simple inverter by splitting up the redstone here and going to this redstone torch that powers the block with the trapdoors on it. So right now I'm standing on the roof that I built out of glass. That's not the reason I'm up here, I just forgot to mention it a while ago. So the reason I'm up here is this clock, when it's turned off, I think it's acting as a bud switch to this piston here, because this piston should be unpowered and I think it's being powered by this block here. So this doesn't actually break the system, so I'm going to go ahead and do some tests and start seeing if this thing works or not, and later on I'll come back and I'll be moving the clock somewhere else so it doesn't interfere with this piston. So yeah, I'll do some checks and I'll show you the progress. Okay, so I've got my eggs from my chest and it's time to load them up. And I'm just going to check that it's in the right state, which it's not. There's all coming out the back here. Okay, so now it's ready to be tested. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. That's bad. Okay. So you saw that the eggs were actually hitting the chickens. So I'm obviously going to need to raise the dispenser up, put it higher up so the chickens fall down, they won't get hit by the eggs coming out of the dispenser. But for now I'm going to leave the game to do its business, and I'll come back in a bit and hopefully these chickens will be adults. Okay, so I've collected some eggs and it's time to check the next part of the machine. There we go, they're going to go down the hole, and I still haven't been to the nether yet. I was saving that for another episode, so I'm just going to light it like this for now, just to see what happens. And where are my chickens? What's happening here? Okay, so it appears like they can't... Oh no, one went under. There we go. So we know that bit works. As I said, I need to get some netherrack. Okay, so I think what's happening here is this block in the middle here is stopping them from passing through because they like to jump up and down. So I'll need to see if I can remove that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, I've moved the dispenser and I've moved the clock as well, and I'm not too happy with it at the moment and how it looks, so I'll probably change that. And I did test that this works, and it works fine. The chickens in there won't get hurt anymore. But now what we need to do is test it once more, the cooking part, because as you can see I've raised the glass here, so the channel that they come down is now too high. So I'll just set a light to the dirt. There we go. And hit the lever. There we go, down the hole they go, all the way down. Okay, so it works, and I'm going to be adding some blocks here so that they don't get to run away, and the trapdoor system works as well. So yeah, I'll finish up that clock, and I don't think there's much else to do, so there we go. Okay, so I've had a look at this clock, I've played around with it a lot, and my episode time is limited, so I'm not going to be able to do that in this episode, unfortunately. Although I will do some research and improve this. I'm thinking about building a whole area just on top of this this part of the machine, where there'll be chests and storage, etc. for all the chicken and eggs. And I have added one more feature, which is these redstone torches. Now they turn on when there's something on the pressure plates, like an egg, and all it is a line of redstone wire underneath, which inverts a torch under this block, which in turn inverts that one. So the torches are obviously an indicator system to let me know when there's eggs to be collected, but they're not too visible themselves, so perhaps in the future I'll be hooking up the redstone wire to some sort of piston display, but that would only be visible at night, so I've got to think about that. But yeah, I could hook this up to something else as well. Okay, so that's about it for today's episode. There's obviously some things I need to finish with this that I will get back to at some time, but I hope you enjoyed watching it. It was fun to build, and I will be doing a tutorial video on building one of these, but it will be a very compact and efficient design, unlike this one, which is rather bulky. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.